Welcome back, everyone, to Random Thoughts. Believe it or not, this is my third or fourth attempt trying to record this. Just kept struggling to get this one to work. But we're coming to you today with something a little different. It's Vampire Survivors. What is Vampire Survivors? Well, first off, it's a game that I've really been enjoying offline as well as online on my live Twitch stream. If you're interested in checking that out, you can look in the bottom corner of your screen, check out Twitch at RTChompGG. So, Vampire Survivors, what is it? It's a survival roguelike. At least that's how most people seem to be describing it. You start at timer 0, try and make it to 30 minutes, and you just absolutely slaughter hordes, swarms of enemies along the way. You might be able to see in the top right-hand corner right now. It'll take a second for me to actually choose which item we're going with. But you can see over 20,000 monsters have met their end in this run alone. Now that you can see, to some extent it doesn't mean much, but it is fun sometimes to just put up big numbers, and lots of numbers, as you can see here. We have a lot of things going on, a lot of particle effects, a lot of cool abilities, and there's a lot of customization that's afforded in this game, even though it is not fully completed. So I want to talk a little bit about how the game works, try and walk you through it, get you to learn the ropes, and then we'll go from there. As mentioned, it's a survival game. You need to survive to 30 minutes. There are going to be increasing quantities and difficulty of enemies up to and including bosses. You'll see them periodically. They're typically larger enemies or have a unique model in some way. You'll know them when you see them. You naturally start out with virtually nothing. You start out with a single weapon and some sort of attribute. So it may be you start off with garlic, but you move slower. You could start out with the whip, but you do more damage. In this case, we're starting out with the rune tracer, which is the weapon, the little diamond-looking one that's shooting all those lines all over, and then it bounces. So I really like that weapon, but notably it does not evolve, which is kind of an oddball term to assign to weapons. Like, upgrades make sense, but evolution seems weird. But here's what it is. As you gain experience, and that's the blue bar going across the top that you can see getting filled by all those red, blue, and green gems, respectively, that we're soaking up. Once you fill it, you get a chance at an item. Well, not a chance. You get to choose an item. It could be a new item, it could be an upgrade to an existing one, or you could get them out of a chest, as we're seeing here. And there are varying qualities of chests. You get your rare blue ones, you have your purple epic ones, and you have your orange legendary ones. The norm. Granted, we're at the end, or the higher end of experience in this, so that's why we're getting different selections, which I'll get to in a moment. But when you level up, you choose one of the upgrades. It could be a weapon, it could be a secondary item, as I'm dubbing them. Or if you have a maxed out, a level 8 weapon, and the required follow-up, the appropriate item to pair it with, a secondary one, or in the case of the birds, the other bird, which to me are primary weapons. If you meet those conditions and you open a treasure chest, you have a chance at getting an evolved weapon. Now, not all of them evolve, as mentioned, the rune tracer being one of them, but we actually have 3 that are evolved here, and that's part of the reason that we're able to carve such an enormous swath through all of these enemies, and honestly right now making it look kind of trivial. We are currently playing on normal. There is a hyper mode, and I have some wins from that are going to be going up later, but here we have the evolved fire wand, which is obviously producing those enormous meteors. We have the evolved cross, which turns into holy swords. Those are the purple effects that are kind of strewn across the screen at the moment. And then we have the upgraded King's Bible, which is producing that red and black halo around us that prevents anything from even getting close, because they're just getting annihilated. As mentioned before, I'm really enjoying this game online and off. Despite the simplicity, which is just, your directive is stay alive. There's no story. You don't have any idea what these monsters are here. You don't know if you are actually the good guy or the bad guy here. I mean, you could be invading their home for all we know. But it's just survive. And it's very cathartic. It's very enjoyable. It's a lot of fun between the graphics, the sound, and the gameplay itself is rewarding. It feels like you're learning each time. You're discovering cool things. You don't have a ton of hoops to jump through. As the game goes on, I hope that there's more information provided in-game. You know, like the evolutions are, it's cool to discover them, but I would have rather have just known, okay, here are all the combinations, and especially as you're playing, like actually in here, this map is the Inlaid library. There's multiple maps with different enemies on each. I would love to have that information available so that you know to build towards certain things. But at the end of the day, it's fine that it's not. It's still a lot of fun. And it's also only like $3, so you're getting a lot for it. Now, as mentioned, there's multiple maps. They have different types of enemies. The enemies just walk towards you. They'll have varying speeds, different animations and things, but there are none that shoot at you. So it's just, you do have the opportunity to run away to some extent. Some of them are faster than others that may or may not work out for you. But there's a whole lot of things to discover in here, whether it's the upgrade paths to the evolutions. As mentioned, there's also a number of different characters that will start with different traits, different weapons, that make each of the runs unique. Even if you pick the same character, you could choose different weapons and different items, either to try for certain evolutions or just to try out different things. There's also a meta progression path. As you can see there, I'm collecting gold, which is also shown in the top right. It doesn't do anything when you're in the game, like right now, but when you go back to the menu, there is a meta progression path that will allow you to pick up faster speed, larger pickup ranges, extra projectiles, more health, a variety of different things. Basically, if it shows up as an item that you could pick up in the game, well, not the weapons, but the secondary items, stat increases, things like that, you can get it as meta progression. And it adds another layer. Is it absolutely necessary? Do you have to grind a gazillion games to unlock the meta progression stuff so that way you can complete it? I don't think so. On my first successful run, the only meta progression I think I had was one extra projectile, which admittedly is very good. I don't want to downplay that, but I don't think you need a whole lot of stuff to do it. And you can also reset it whenever you want to, getting a refund on the gold, so that way you can try a different lineup. Point being is there's a lot of customization, there's a lot of replayability to me, and I expect I'm going to be continuing to play this offline and on stream. But we're getting close to the very end. We're getting close to the very end, and you can see things are starting to close in. It's starting to close in, but we do have a lot going for us. So I'm going to cut myself off here and let everybody enjoy the finish. So as always, everyone, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and Black Lives Matter.